Good evening. I am Mayor Donald T. Lopez, Village of Los Ranchos to Albuquerque. I am going to call this meeting to order August 25th, 2021 at 7 p.m. The Village of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque will be conducting this meeting via Zoom video conferencing and streaming on its website and Facebook page. Participants can also join telephonically. At this time, I will call the roll. Trustee Rael.
Here.
Trustee Lewis.
Here.
Trustee Pacheco.
Here.
Trustee Riccabini.
Mayor, I think he might be on with a phone call standby.
Okay.
Trustee Riccabini, are you on?
Yes, I am.
I just called the roll, Trustee Riccabini, so you're on, so you're okay. Thank you.
Here.
Great. Okay, item 3 is approval of the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Sandra.
Sandra, go ahead.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I need a second. Okay.
I'll second.
I'm going to call for the question. I'm going to call for the roll call vote. Trustee Rael.
Yes.
Trustee Lewis.
Yes.
Trustee Pacheco.
Yes.
Trustee Riccabini.
Yes.
Thank you. Item 4 is the public comment period. Participants may address the Board of Trustees to comment on issues, problems, or successes on topics that do not appear elsewhere on the agenda. Submitted written comments that were sent to the clerk prior to the meeting will now be read. Danielle, were there any comments?
Good evening, Mayor and Trustees. I have received no written comments, nor have I received any requests to be on tonight's agenda.
Thank you. Okay, at that time, I need to ask, did somebody try to speak? Okay, is there anyone on this call who wishes to speak that did not register prior to the meeting? If so, please use the raise your hand button and please state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Mayor, Trustees, there are no hands raised.
Thank you. Item 5, public hearings. A, discussion and ranking with public input of the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, parentheses ICIP, fiscal year 2023 to 2027 for the Village of Los Ranchos de Albuquerque. Administrator Simon, would you please present the ranking, not the ranking, but the capital improvement plan?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. And good evening, trustees, Mayor. You will see on page 5 of your packet, the items that we are suggesting as part of our ICIP for the years 2023 through 2027. As you may recall, we do this every year based on feedback we receive from the public and the community. The capital projects that are on this listing become the projects that we work towards and that we can request funding for from the legislature. So if we are interested in receiving capital outlay, for example, for a certain project, it must be on the ICIP. So some of these are projects that have been on the ICIP for several years. Some of them we accomplished. Some of them we accomplished portions of the project and therefore we're requesting the remaining portion. And then some of them are new projects. And I stand for questions.
Okay, at this time, we will be talking about the ICIP when we get to item 6A. So what happens is the hearing process allows for the public to provide ideas, suggestions, and input on the FY 2027 ICIP. Is there anyone present from the public wishing to speak? If so, please use the raise your hand button.
Mr. Mayor, I have one hand raised, stand by.
Okay,
I lost you guys. Hang on.
okay, I can hear
Okay,
you,
well-
whoever you are.
My name is Loretta Chavez Smith.
Yes, ma'am. You need to be sworn in before you speak. So I need for you to provide your name and address, and then I'm going to ask Attorney Nan Winter to swear you in.
Okay.
Your name and address.
My name is Loretta Chavez Smith, 536 Chavez Road Northwest, Village of Los
Okay,
Ranchos.
Attorney Nan Winter, please swear in Miss Chavez Smith.
Travis Smith, can you please raise your right hand? Do you
I
swear to
lost-
tell?
Can you see me?
I cannot see you.
I don't know what I'm doing wrong, Miss Nan.
That's okay. As long as,
Just tell us that you raised your hand. I think
Yeah.
that would
My
be
hand
okay,
is,
wouldn't
my
it,
hand
Nan?
is raised. I
All right.
see you.
thank you. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, you have 3 minutes, Miss Chavez Smith.
Mayor Lopez and trustees, I only have one question is, does this money and this project have to go forward so quickly? Can we put the brakes on it for a little bit?
Well, I'm not sure that I should answer that question specifically. Let me have Administrator Simon give you a response and then I can add to it. Go ahead, Ann.
Okay, Mayor, trustees, I'm not sure if I fully understand Ms. Smith's question. At this point, we are looking at
Jasmine,
a
come here.
variety of projects, all of which will be part of our long-range plan. Is there one project in particular that you have an interest in?
The 4th Street, the whole going 4th Street forward to Ortega Road.
Well, let me interject. This would be a good time for me to perhaps respond to your question. The 4th Street project has been being discussed, conceptualized, and planned since the late 1990s. It took over 20 years to get to the point where we could actually finalize the construction plans, specifications, and other contractual documents. And that didn't occur till late 2017. So in early 2018, we started construction on phase 1. Phase 1 is essentially complete, but we still have to get final approval from the New Mexico Department of Transportation. So here we are in August of 2021. So we're about 25 years after this project was first brought up before Board of Trustees, the mayor's administration at that time, and I happened to be Mayor Pro Tem and a trustee at that time. Every year, communities in New Mexico have to prepare their capital improvement plans. So for us to be able to move forward with continued planning, design, and looking for funding to complete the project, we have to have it in our annual capital improvement plan, and that has to be submitted to the state of New Mexico by September 30th. So we can't put a break on that at all. But you need to know that the planning for this project is going to be vetted by not only the governing body, but the residents of the village of Los Ranchos, just like the one before, the one that was just completed. So I'm not sure if I understand what the logic would be in trying to put the brakes on it, but you can be assured that this project will be a vetted project by the village governing body, but it can take many, many years to complete. Do you have any further questions?
Well, on that, I guess my question is to you, Mr. Mayor and Board of Trustees. You said that we're going to start construction.
We're not
On the
starting
second-
any construction. No, absolutely not.
Okay, then my bad. I apologize. I misunderstood. I
Okay.
thought the second phase was going to go into a construction.
No, oh no, it hasn't even been designed.
Okay, okay. I mean, so I totally misunderstood and I humbly apologize for taking up your time with this question. Thank you for
Okay.
clarifying.
You're quite welcome. Do you have any further comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Are there any comments or input from the Board of Trustees on this particular question? This would be a good time to say your piece. Okay, the floor is now closed for comments. Let us move to the next item, which would be, before I get to new business, I'm just going to make a statement. Administrator Simon will take the input from this hearing, which we have already heard some, evaluate and adjust the priorities as necessary. And that's going to move into item 6, which is new business. 6A is discussion and approval of resolution number 2021-08-04, a resolution adopting the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan, the ICIP, FY 2023 to 27 for the Village of Los Ranchos to Albuquerque. Administrator Simon.
Thank you, Mayor and Trustees. And if I could also have you, as you discuss the resolution and the projects, we will need a ranking from you by the end of this evening. I'm not sure if it's now here in new business or if it should have been in the last item, but we will need to have those ICIP projects, those capital improvement projects ranked by this governing body. And I stand for questions on any of the projects in particular. So I defer to you how you want to move forward.
Okay, before we get to the discussion from the governing body, I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution adopting the Infrastructure Capital Improvement Plan fiscal year 2023-2027.
Okay, before I ask for a second, will you be prepared to amend your motion with a ranking after all of the discussion?
Yes.
Okay, I need a second.
A second.
Good. Okay, now we get to discussion from the governing body. But before we do that, I have to ask if the public wants to speak on item 6A. Is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this matter? If so, please use the raise your hand button. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes. This matter.
Mayor
If so,
Trustees, there are no hands
You have
raised.
3. Okay, so now let's get to each trustee and any comments or potential proposals to rank these projects from the governing body. Let's start with Trustee Rael.
So can I give you my rankings or what is it?
Absolutely. So Ann, will you tabulate the rankings so that we can do this in a kind of formal manner?
Yes, Mayor.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay.
Trustee Rael.
My rankings is, number 1 would be the 4th Street renovation and repair. Number 2 would be road safety enhancements. Number 3 would be the Chavez Road multi-use trail. Number 4 would be new acquisitions of land. Number 5 would be the Village Hall renovations. Number 6 would be Agri-Nature Center improvements. Number 7 would be noise sound barriers on Paseo del Norte. And number 8 would be the Schulte House remediation.
Okay,
Oh,
any further comments, Trustee Rael?
No, that's it.
Okay, Trustee Lewis.
Yes, first, Administrator Simon, I'd like you to just give us a little brief summary on each of the items on the list and what the thinking is behind them or what the thought process is and just so that I make sure we're all on the same page.
Sure thing, Mayor. Trustee Lewis. So, as I mentioned, some of these have been on our listing for a long time and they just keep rolling over. We'll start with new acquisition of land. As you know, this has been a priority of the village for a long time. The $2.5 million price tag on this particular item was intended to expand our agriculture resources. And so that money is there as a request as part of our long-range strategy on land acquisition. Road safety enhancements. These are the funds that we request from DOT every year. We call it the Co-op Road Fund. They help to fund on a wheel almost all of the roads in the village of Los Ranchos. As you recall, when we were focusing on 4th Street exclusively, many of those side roads were ignored. So we want to make sure that we put in funding from the legislature, from the Department of Transportation, funding for all roads in the village. So that's, again, just a long-range plan. Number 3 here on your listing is the 4th Street renovation and repair. We have $5 million as the total. That's plan, design, right-of-way acquisition, and construction. And actually, I believe Maria Rinaldi is on the line and she can help us identify or sketch out this project. Maria, are you available?
Yes, Administrator Simon. Trustee Lewis, Board of Trustees and Mayor, what we're funding here in this particular ICIP for this period of time is the final plan, the final design and construction of what we are calling the first phase A of phase 2, which includes construction from Pueblo Solano to Ranchitos Road. That's the termini of what you see in this ICIP.
Go ahead, Administrator Simon.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Maria. Village Hall renovation. This is something we've been talking about for some time. As you know, the bathrooms at Village Hall are not ADA accessible. So no one with a wheelchair is able to access our restroom facilities. So this would be to bring Village Hall up to ADA compliance. It's a very large price tag because it's plumbing and shower facilities that need to be removed. And there's a kitchen affixed to the men's room. But we would like to put that on our long-range plan, and we would love the legislature to help us. Agri-Nature Center improvements. As you know, we've been working with Night CV to look at some ways to improve access, the facilities, bring those classroom facilities into compliance. We have children on the property. We want to make sure that the area is safe and accessible. The $300,000 price tag right there is for the design of an outdoor classroom. We have a need for a lot of farm to table kind of classes, and we have a plan for an outdoor classroom. We did put this request into the legislature last year, and I'm not sure if it was because the price tag was too high, but we did tamp that down to a reasonable request. Chavez Road multi-use trail is something that we talked about last week at the Board of Trustees meeting, regular meeting. This is, and I may need Maria's help again, but this is a multi-use, multimodal trail along the side of Chavez Road, which will serve a number of purposes, most of which are to calm traffic, slow down traffic, provide a safe walking and jogging and equestrian trail, and hopefully take care of the parking issues that we have seen along Chavez Road. And again, I ask for Maria Rinaldi to chime in on Chavez Road.
Administrator Simon, trustees, mayor, the request in this ICIP for placement and ranking, and we're really hoping for a high ranking on this project, is just for the plan, design, and right-of-way survey. We have no idea the cost of any potential what may be needed right-of-way at this time. We know that there is some ability to gain some additional right-of-way that have some encroachments at the moment. We have some maps that show us that there may be more right-of-way than what is visible there, but we've got to tie down what right-of-way is there through a survey and identify any needed right-of-way to get the required widths for this type of road improvement, which is what it is. We are actually seeking this amount of money, the $480,000. We are seeking this right now in the New Mexico NMDOT cycle for trail funding. Roadway improvements that include trails. That application is due in October. And to see this project prioritized in a planning document such as the ICIP really boosts our potential for funding. But this is simply for the plan, design, right-of-way survey. If we are successful in our application for this funding in future ICIPs, you will see the right-of-way acquisition costs and you will see the construction costs programmed in.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Maria. Next is the Schulte House. This, as you recall, was a home that was purchased by the village so that we could move the Bernalillo County, what is now the Bernalillo County Fire Station, that was here at the Village Hall property up to 4th Street. The Schulte family is very committed to having us preserve this cultural asset. We spent several $1,000s moving the home to the Agri-Nature Center, where it currently sits on cinder blocks. In order to do anything with the property, either move it, restore it, repurpose it, we must remediate the lead and the asbestos. So this funding would be to do just that, to remediate the hazard. And we thought rather than leave it and ignore it, we would put it on our ICIP and finally make a plan to deal with it. The last one is the noise and sound barriers along Paseo del Norte. We have had many comments over the last year and a half about the berms that are currently buffering the highway to the neighbors. And people are concerned when those berms are disturbed, when our agriculture farmer who is managing our lands at Paseo disturb the property and disturb those berms. And we feel like for once and for all, we should request with the DOT as a partner, some true sound barriers that are more advanced than a dirt berm. And that's what we've got for ICIP right now.
Administrator Simon, I'd like to add one point to your comment on the sound barriers. Another option, and this could be done in tandem with sound barriers or by itself, is quiet pavement. There is such a thing as quiet pavement. It's used in other states and a lot in Arizona, especially in the heavily congested urban areas. And it actually makes a significant difference in reducing sound from roads like Paseo del Norte. So I want the trustees to know that sound barriers may not be the only mitigation option available to reduce sound, okay?
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so Alan, do you have any other questions or comments?
No, first I'd like to thank Ann and Maria for their comments on these projects.
Do you have a potential ranking, Trustee
I do.
Lewis?
I
Good,
do.
let's hear it.
I think all the projects on this list are really quality projects that could enhance the village, but when I really look at what I think could enhance the village for the residents, my number one is the acquisition of new land. I think to be in position to acquire, when these opportunities come along, they're going to come along quickly, and we need to be in the position to react. Number two, I feel like the Chavez Road is probably our major east-west traverse through the village. Irregardless of what's going on Chavez Road right now and the controversy, it's just going to increase the traffic. I'm amazed at the traffic on it with the zigzag through Northdale Shopping Center. As the west side grows, as jobs grow on the west side, as the Journal Center grows, I think really studying how we can do our best to handle traffic on Chavez Road is my number two. My number three, I feel like we have devoted a lot of time and effort to 4th Street, and I don't want to lose sight of that, but my number three would be road safety enhancements. Number four would be the 4th Street renovation and repair phase. Number five is Agri-Nature Center improvements. Number six would be the Village Hall renovation. Number seven would be the noise and sound barriers on Paseo del Norte. And number 8 would be the Schulte House renovation. Thank you.
Okay, Alan, any further comments or questions?
No, thank you. At this time.
Okay, Trustee Pacheco, your turn.
Thank you, Mayor. And I do have a question with regard to the amount of projects that were submitted. Is there like a limit that we can, as a village, ask for? And I'm assuming that there were also other items that probably didn't make the list. I mean, how did we come up with these 8 items to rank?
Go ahead, Administrator Simon.
Mayor, Trustee Pacheco, as I mentioned, many of them are rollover projects. And for the most part, these are projects that we can partner with our state and federal agencies to fund. They are not projects that we alone need to consider funding. They are ones that have enough of an impact on the rest of the state that the state legislature would consider funding. And that's kind of how they end up on the capital projects. For example, 4th Street connects the city of Albuquerque to Bernalillo County right through our community. Historic homes like the and cultural homes like the Schulte House, noise along a major highway that is a facility not even owned by us. These are projects that where we can leverage capital outlay funds. So that's kind of how these projects ended up on this list. And Mayor, do you want to add?
Yes, I would. I want the trustees to understand that many years ago, and I think it probably was maybe 12, 13 years ago, the legislature actually provided a significant amount of money for us to buy the land that the Agri-Nature sits on right now. So that was actually a funded project that was almost all from state of New Mexico legislative appropriations. So that's the reason why every one of these projects is in the ICIP. We've been told by the New Mexico Department of Finance and Administration, don't ask the legislature for money if it's not on your ICIP, okay?
Thank you, Mayor. It looks like Maria has a comment.
Go ahead, Maria.
Thank you, Trustee Pacheco. I just wanted to say that from a capital project planning perspective, it is almost impossible now to seek outside funding sources, particularly at the state and federal level, without having done this sort of planning that puts projects into the ICIP. That's why these projects are identified, because their potential for legislative, for community development block grant, for federal highways, for state NMDOT funds, all of those sources require that that an identified project that you are applying for funds for must be in this document.
Okay, understood. Thank you so much for clarifying that. I'm assuming there are some projects that that were close to making the list that probably didn't, that maybe we can look at in future years. Is that right, Ann?
Yes, Mayor, Trustee Pacheco, if there's anything in particular that you want to see added, it's not too late to add it. If you have a project, definitely tonight is the night.
Okay, thank you. No, and I don't have a particular project that I feel needs to be added, and I kind of feel like I'm ready to provide my ranking at this point.
Please do.
Okay. So my number one would be the 4th Street project, and the reason for that again is timing and the amount of money that this project is going to require to complete. I kind of feel like this is going to be on our list for a long time. And I think we got to start chipping away at those funds. So that's the reason I put that one at my number 1 ranking. Number 2 would be the Chavez Road multi-use trail. Again, like we've all mentioned here tonight, that has become a hot topic. I live close to Chavez, so I understand and feel for the residents as well. And for those that are, that are either walking on the path, biking on the path, or riding their horses, it has become a bit congested, to say the least. Number 3 on my list would be the Agri-Nature Center improvements. I think this is a gem of a location and just a facility that I think can become a world-class facility and really, kind of showcase our village with this particular building. So I feel like I'm thinking about this for the future and what it can bring to the village moving forward. 4th would be the new acquisition of land. Again, it was hard to rank these. This is important to all of us. I think we live here because of the openness and the beauty of the land around us. So that definitely had to be as high ranking as I felt like it could be based on the other projects. Let's see, number 5 was road safety enhancements, and that's just something we gotta continue to do. So that's why I ranked it at 5. 6 would be the noise sound barriers, and I'm hoping that maybe we can look at some other options, Mayor, for sound barrier, that it does have a high price tag as well. And number 7 would be the Village Hall renovation. While I completely agree that this is important, I didn't put it up on the top because we've done some renovation to the Village Hall this past fiscal year. So I'm hoping that, that we do see the money for that, but I didn't put that high on my ranking. And then lastly, the Schulte House remediation, which I feel is important, but I also feel like we can potentially look elsewhere for funds to help remediate. So there you have it.
Thank you, Trustee Pacheco. Okay, let's move to Trustee Riccabini.
Thank you very much, Mayor. And thank you, Ann and Maria, for putting this together, and staff. A couple of questions. First is the I noticed that when funds secured and expended to date, is that part of the project cost as you have listed there? So in other words, we've got some $1 million, $1.5 million toward the 4th Street renovation and repair phase 2. Is that toward the 5 million project cost already?
Go ahead, Maria or Ann.
I'm going to defer this one to Maria, Mayor. It is a question that is on the ICIP form. They want to know what kind of skin you have in the game, so to speak. Maria, do you want to take this one?
Yes, Administrator Simon, Trustee Riccobene, Board of Trustees and Mayor. What you see there in front of you is the COVID relief funding that we have received that's programmed in the Metropolitan Transportation Improvement Plan for fiscal year 23, 24, or 24, 25, should we need to move it around depending on construction. It is construction funds, and it is part of that $5 million equation. The other part that's in there is a legislative appropriation that we received this previous year, and the balance of the appropriations that we have obligated currently on phase 1 of 4th Street.
Okay, so we've got monies to get started on it, and we would look for outlay from state and federal government to help us complete it at that point. Same thing with the Agri-Nature Center. Specifically on that, I know that we looked at some drawings for the Agri-Nature Center for remodeling it and expanding it, and putting the patio outside and all that. Is that separate from this? Or is this in that, because that project surely was over 300,000.
Mayor, go ahead, Maria.
Trustee Riccobene, what you see programmed there also is the existing funding that we have in the legislative appropriations. But that $300,000 is specifically to the project that Ann outlined, which is an outdoor activity classroom area. We feel that especially if COVID becomes endemic rather than just a pandemic, that outdoor teaching space is going to become critical. And also just by the nature of agricultural activity, it's outdoor. But so that is specific to that project. And everything else that we're working on now, the roadway and entrance improvements off of Rio Grande Boulevard to the facility itself with ADA parking and the soils lab, those are currently funded with existing appropriations.
So the funds that are secured at this point are more than 300,000 for the project, looks like that. So we're pretty much ready to go on that one, right?
That is correct.
Agreed.
This is a portion that we don't have funded, and that's why it's in here.
So we've got part of it funded, it looks like. Okay, great. The 468,000 on the right of way, I was trying to get on at the time you were talking and I missed it. Is that only for the right of way survey and that's it?
Trustee,
go ahead, Maria.
Go ahead. No, by all means, you go
I
ahead.
just wanted to clarify, are you talking about the 4th Street project or are you talking about the Agri-Nature Center?
Nope.
No, Chavez Road.
Right on Chavez Road. I'm on Chavez Road. $468,000. I heard you mention right-of-way survey. Is it only for the right-of-way survey? Or does this include more than that?
Go ahead, Maria.
Trustee Riccobene, this is the cost of plan, design, and identify right-of-way through a survey. Those 3 activities, everything short of construction. Short of potential acquisition of right-of-way and construction. Let me clarify. Thank you.
I would assume that the plan construction would include trying to stay away from purchase of right of way if we have, unless we have to, right? So we'll
Trustee
try to
Rick-
not purchase, I would think.
Absolutely. It is a study of what existing right of way we have. And there are some minimum width requirements for the type of activity we're proposing. But there are some alternate measures that can be taken if you don't have adequate risk. I'm just going to tell you really quickly, for example, the minimum width requirements along a roadside of the nature of Chavez Road is 13 feet. We don't have 13 feet in all areas, and we've identified some areas where it chokes down. What we really need to study is if it is feasible to narrow that 13-foot width by including a continuous concrete curb for protection. That's one of several alternatives that we may exercise to avoid right-of-way acquisition, or the decision may be that we want a 13-foot minimum, and we may decide that there are sections where we might want to acquire right-of-way. But those are the questions that we will answer through the plan design right-of-way survey.
Thank you. Okay. Last three questions have to do with the funding itself and acquisition of it. Are there different buckets in state funding that we're going after, or is it all capital outlay? And will there be several times a year we can go? How does that work?
Mayor, Trustee Riccobene, this document identifies all potential funding sources for which we may seek funding from the state to the federal level. And we also identify local funds, whether they be gas tax or whatever they may be. That in the individual project descriptions, we will identify our potential funding sources. But it's so that we know as a staff, as a community, that here are our prioritized projects, and these are the potential buckets of money. Does that make sense?
Yes. When we ask for money, are we asking at a particular time for a specific item, or do they look at our whole list and say, I think that's the one that we're going to?
No, we ask, Trustee Riccobene.
Yes. So we ask it in an order that we think is going to be correct for us, depending on where other funding's coming from and timing.
So Trustee Riccobene,
Yes.
you're asking great questions, and let me intervene at this time. Because of this new potential funding source that's coming from the federal government to the state of New Mexico, and there's really some significant increases in the kinds of funds that are going to be made available to communities. Let me give you an example. I've been told by the state hazard mitigation officer that there is a large pot of hazard mitigation money that could be used for, basically drainage. Well, in our 4th Street project, drainage is a significant component. And so we intend to meet with the hazard mitigation officer from the state and see if we can get some of the funding to help us out with the drainage part of that project. That's just a small example of how this could work. Another big project that's coming along, and we keep hearing about it, we don't have a lot of details, but we keep being told that broadband, that there's going to be significant amounts of money available for planning and potential implementation of broadband. So that's what's going on at a larger level. So I think your question is perfect. Bottom line is we go after money wherever it is. We do know that these projects are going to be significant in cost. And if we can get money from one source and add money from another source, we're going to do that.
So the hierarchy of ranking these in order then is really going to be trumped by the availability of funds for specific needs at given times.
I think that's partially true. Obviously, your highest ranked project is the one that, the state would look at and say, wow, that is number one. So that's the one we need to give you before we give you money for anything else. I mean, I may be saying that kind of altruistically, but that's kind of what has happened in the past.
Maria, please go ahead.
Maria,
Just
do
to
you have
add
something to
quickly
add?
Just really quickly, Mayor, that was an excellent explanation. I will say, though, that we identify multiple potential funding sources so that we're in a position to show whenever funds become available. One, we've identified that funding source as potential. We know it exists. We know what it takes to apply for that money. And two, that we've gone through the process to identify our priorities. They don't care generally if it's 1 through 5. They want to see that it's a priority. Of course, it carries heavier weight if it's your number 1 priority. But in general, your top 5 are going to carry the heaviest weight. And they literally, all these funding sources want to know that you understand the process if you've identified them, and that you're prepared to go through that process, whether it's TAP, whether it's CMAQ, whether it's a legislative appropriation, that you understand the process.
Thank you on that. Does land acquisition for open space actually constitute capital project?
It could. It could. It could also come from bonds. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good. And then last question was on the road that you mentioned on the sound. That wouldn't be us repaving Paseo. That would be
No,
the,
I don't
the
think
state or
so.
the city doing it, right?
Trustee Riccobini, that project is owned and operated by the New Mexico Department of Transportation. So we would have to have a partnership and a memorandum of agreement or understanding to work with them to get some funding and to move forward and make that a priority in their scheme of things. Maria, am I correct in that?
Mayor, you are absolutely correct.
Okay, so
Very
that's
good.
how it would work, Trustee Riccobini.
Thank you very much. I'll give a ranking
Go.
this time. Number 1, the road safety enhancements. Number 2, 4th Street renovation, phase 2A. Number 3, the Chavez Road multi-use trail. Number 4, new acquisition of land. Number 5, Village Hall renovation. Number 6, Agri-Nature Center improvements, specifically the outdoor classroom. And number 7, the noise barrier or sound remediation. And then number 8, the Schulte House.
Thank you, Trustee Riccobini. At this time, I'd like to give my ranking, and that way we can then ask Administrator Simon and maybe Danielle to help tell us what the ranking ended up. 4th Street is my number 1, renovation, repair of phase 2A. Chavez Road, number 2, multi-use trail. Agri-Nature Center improvements, number 3. Road safety improvements, number 4. New acquisition of land, number 5. Village Hall renovation, number 6. Noise and sound barriers on Paseo del Norte would be number 7, and the Schulte House, number 8. So Ann, are you able to figure out how this came out?
Yes, Mayor and trustees, and I guess I'll need Trustee Pacheco to help me maybe propose a ranking. It seems like for 4th Street, 3 of the 5 voters ranked 4th Street number 1. Number 2, the second ranking was Chavez Road got a number 2, 3, 2, 2. So 3 people ranked Chavez Road as number 2.
Okay, that's good.
Road safety. We have road safety. Only one person. We have road safety as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
So I think it's probably number 3, wouldn't you
Sounds like
agree?
a 3.
Okay. Land acquisition. Land acquisition, 3 people voted it as number 4,
Then it's number 4.
and 1 as number 1.
We're missing a vote. We're missing one.
And 1 as number 5. Village Hall, 5, 5, 6, 6, and 7.
That's probably a 6, wouldn't you think? But I don't know about Agri-Nature Center.
Agri-Nature Center is 3, 6, 6, 5, and 3.
So it's number 5, and Village Hall would be 6, I think.
Village Hall is 5, 5, 6, 6, and 7.
So it would be number 6. Okay, so you're left with sound barriers and the Schulte House.
And I think that's the order.
Okay, so sound barriers is number 7. Would that be correct? Schulte House would be number 8. So what I have before I get to the motion, I have 4th Street number 1. We have Chavez Road number 2. We have road safety improvements number 3. Land acquisition number 4. Agri-Nature Center number 5. Village Hall number 6. Noise and sound barriers number 7, and Schulte House remediation. So Trustee Pacheco, do you want to amend your motion at this time?
Could I ask a question?
Of course, go ahead.
What happens if you add up the scores that everybody?
I don't know.
And you rank them in the lowest score to the highest score. Do they still come out in the same order we have? I'm just curious.
Mayor and Trustee Lewis, I'm sorry if I'm not following you. Adding up the scores, meaning
If you take what the
Averaging
5
them?
scores were for number 1 for 4th Street Edition, what do the 5 scores add up to?
see.
Well, it would affect the outcome because a number 1 would be of less value than a number 5. So you would be ranking them based on the lowest number rather than
Right.
the highest
You add them
number.
up, and so the lowest score is your
Is
number
number
1
1.
project.
Yeah, let's check it out. Why not?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's see if that works.
All right.
I mean,
Let's look
So
at
for
Fourth
Schulte
Street.
House, the Schulte House is 40 points. So it's
Right.
gonna be our 8th project.
Right.
So 4th Street, we've got a 2 plus a 1 plus a 4 plus a 1 plus a 1 is 9.
Okay, that's 4th Street, right?
Road projects is a 1 plus a 2.
I show 4th Street as a 10.
Okay, 5, 6,
No, okay.
9.
I was using what you gave us before as 1, so you're right, 9. Sorry.
That's okay. Plus 3, plus 5, plus. Okay, roads are 15.
Road safety enhancements.
Mhm.
What about Chavez Road?
Chavez Road is 3 plus 3 plus 12.
Okay,
Land acquisition is 4 plus 4 plus 1 plus 4 plus 5 plus 18. Agri-Nature Center is 6 plus 6 plus 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 23. Village Hall is 5 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 6 is 29.
okay,
And sound barriers is 7 plus 7 plus 34
okay.
and 40 for 40 for Schulte.
So it came out the same.
Right, and my whole reason for doing that is so that we have something that we said, here's our process completely on how we pick
Right.
these projects. Where no, somebody can't come back in and say, well, I think that was close and you guys went this way. No, here's the votes, here's the count.
Right.
So I think that gives us a well-documented
So-
reason for how we picked them.
So mayor and trustees, the only one that would flip is 4th Street comes out number 1, Chavez Road number 2, road safety enhancements number 3.
And that's what I had to begin
That's
with.
what we had.
I wrote it.
Oh, okay. 1, 2.
I had it that way
3.
to begin with.
Yeah.
And then 4, yep, I'm sorry, yep, take it back. Yep, we've got it. Thank you.
So we have two choices as a governing body. Trustee Pacheco can amend her motion, or she can withdraw her motion and another trustee can make a motion with the ranking we've all agreed on. So trustee Pacheco, what is your desire?
I think it'd probably be best to remove my motion and have another trustee make a motion with the ranking.
I need that motion.
And Don, do I need to withdraw my second?
Yes.
So I withdraw my second.
Okay, now we're ready for a motion.
I move approval of the ranking for the ICIP as we agreed on at tonight's meeting. Or do you want me to name each one or not?
I don't think you have to.
Yeah, Mayor, trustee Rael, I believe you should for the record, so that way we
Okay, go
have
ahead.
it.
That's fine.
4th Street project number 1. Chavez Road number 2. Safety number 3. Land acquisition 4. Agri-Nature Center number 5. Village number 6. Sound barrier number 7. The Schulte House number 8.
I need a second.
I'll
Right,
second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, at this time, is there any further discussion from the governing body? I'm gonna call for the question, call for the roll call vote. Trustee Rael,
Yes.
trustee Lewis,
Yes,
trustee Pacheco,
Yes.
trustee Riccabini.
Yes.
Okay, it passes. Now let's move to item B, discussion and approval of resolution number 2021-08-05, a resolution adopting the projects to be funded with coronavirus state and local fiscal recovery funds established under the American Rescue Plan Act. Administrator Simon.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and trustees. As you know, we've been talking about for many months now, we have been awarded some funds from the federal government, which are intended to help us with our rescue activities. We've read the Federal Register very carefully and the FAQs that have come out from the feds on the careful deployment of these funds to specific projects that we either could not have funded last year because of belt tightening and other budget constraints. And also projects that are helping us recover from the coronavirus global pandemic. So before you, beginning on
Page 11.
Sorry, page 11 of your packet, are the projects that we know we have in our community. They have been brought to our attention by the community. And we can go through each and every one of them. They are also projects that meet the criteria for funding by the federal government. So I'm happy to proceed per your desire.
Okay, before we get to discussion from the governing body from each trustee, I do need a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 2021-08-05.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, I have to ask, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on this matter? If so, please use the raise your hand button. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
Mayor, trustees, there are no hands raised.
Thank you. Okay, let's go down the list through each trustee to ask questions or have discussion about the resolution that we're contemplating. Trustee Rael.
I just have a correction.
Okay, go ahead.
You go on page 12, the last
Okay.
item on 12, on the right side is listing in parentheses, $780. Is that correct? Or should it be 78,000 or 780,000?
Thank you, Mayor and Trustee Rael. It's $780,000 is how our revenue was reduced, and that's kind of what we're basing that on.
Yeah, thank you for that correction, Trustee Rael.
I'm sorry, and what was it again?
780,000.
708,000.
780, not
Yeah,
780.
780.
780, yeah, just one extra zero at the end.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions, Trustee Rael?
Oh, I have.
Trustee Lewis?
Again, are we bound to this, or is this just a proposed plan? Can we offer up other options we think might be wise in spending this money? How this is presented to us? I don't think it's the same as the capital outlay project. And if you could explain that a little more, I'd appreciate it.
Go ahead, Administrator Simon.
Correct. Thank you, Trustee Lewis. Yes, this is a very unusual opportunity for the village of Los Ranchos. In fact, for communities all across the country. We have been given sort of a once in a lifetime manna from heaven, if you will, that requires no match. This is money from the feds to help us deal with some of the consequences of the coronavirus that our community faced. And so, yes, we are open to suggestions of adding other projects, but we are bound to the amounts that were provided to us. And what we received or what we will receive is about $1.5 million. Now, we do have the first tranche. We have 750,000. We've received that. That is in our bank currently right now. And we have three years to spend it. We have been told that by the end of June or the beginning of July of next year, 2022, we will get the second tranche. So this is a list of identified places where we could spend that money. And again, we base these projects off of what is allowable per the Federal Register, and some of the needs that we saw throughout the last 15 months.
So do we need to spend all of it?
Well, let's put it this way. May I answer that question?
Please.
At the end of the 3 years, if you don't spend it, it goes back to the federal government.
So there's an opportunity though to put it in our discretionary cash and spend it as needs arise over the next 3 years, knowing that we could lose it if we don't spend it at that time? Or do we have to designate all these now?
Mayor, this is Tammy, Mayor and Trustees. So I would like to make it clear that we cannot put it in discretionary cash in the general fund. We can, it has its own fund. It is in Fund 260. However, you are correct, Trustee Lewis, in if we wanted to hold onto it for a while, we could. We just have to have it all spent within the 3-year period.
Thank you, Tammy. So is it available to pay down some of our bonds? Is that a possibility? I mean, I'm just looking at what are things out there and what can we and can't we do with it?
Mayor, Trustee Lewis, it's my understanding that you can only look forward, you can't look back. So we can look at a payment of the bonds, but it's my understanding that it is not intended for that purpose. We can certainly look at that.
So again, do we have to designate this all tonight? Or is this a general discussion? Or is this like ICIP that we need to make our list in rank?
Mayor, Trustee Lewis, we do not have to rank these projects, but we would like to get your approval to at least come up with some categories of projects that we would like to address. We are to advertise on our website where the project money is going, and they want us to build back better. That's a big mantra in the federal government right now. They want us to use this money to deploy the money how we see fit, how in ways that will bring our community back to the level it was prior to the pandemic or better.
Mayor and Trustees, this is Tammy. I also want to add that for this discussion, once we have discussed all of this and decided where the money's going, if we decide on any of that, you will then see a bar presented at the Board of Trustee meeting once that's been decided. So you will see exactly which line item different money is going into. So if you do make any decisions tonight, you will then see, once I have that prepared, a resolution to actually put the expenditures into our budget, because as of right now, we have no expenditures in this fund. So we aren't able to spend anything right now from this fund until we get that resolution to the state, letting them know we've adjusted the budget and we are now going to be expending some of that.
Thank you, Tam. So then I just have some questions on some of the specifics here. The second one providing funds to Bernalillo County Fire Department for their frontline support in COVID safety. Can somebody elaborate on that a little bit for me?
And I think
Mayor
you can
Trustee
answer
Lewis,
that.
I can also answer that, Mayor, if you'd like.
Sure.
So this is not extra funds, additional funds. We have a contract with Bernalillo County Fire and EMS Services to provide us with services throughout the year, and we pay them 4 quarterly payments of $113,000. This $226,000 would essentially be moving the 2 payments from that contract that we already have from the general fund into the Rescue Act. So we would essentially be freeing up $226,000 of our discretionary cash in general and be paying it out of Rescue Act.
Thank you, Tammy.
Correct.
My next question would be on convert chamber into emergency operations center. Can we go into that a little bit more? It's not. a big
I'd like to
amount,
answer that
but that's
question.
what we're doing.
Yeah, what we're doing with that is we have the potential to use our chamber as an emergency operations center if there were the need for village government, you know, basically the mayor, the staff. You could have trustees, you could have the general public. Basically, we don't have all of the equipment that we need to be able to make it a true emergency operations center. The cost of that is really not that great, but in the event of a natural disaster or some other potential problem, this place, in my opinion, should be an emergency operations center. There really isn't any other place in the village where we could do that, and this is the logical place. That's the purpose of it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My next question, I guess, is the 780,000 for the old village hall, that project. Could you elaborate what is behind that being on the
Well,
list?
it's not 780. It's 780 is what we reduced.
780,000. Right?
Go ahead, Ann. You might answer
Okay,
that.
actually, so Trustee Lewis, Mayor, Trustees, you see the 780,000 just because we're justifying that as part of the provision of government services based on the reduction of revenue, and the reduction of revenue parentheses was 780,000 last year. The actual amount that we are targeting here is 200,000. As you may recall, in this budget that we are in this fiscal year, we set aside 270,000 to address that facility. We do not think, with the price of lumber and contracting services going up, we do not think that that is going to be sufficient to take care of what we want to do on that parcel. We have to remove or demolish the existing facility. We have to plan and design a new facility, and then we have to construct. And this just gives us the ability to do that project all in one fell swoop.
Okay. Solar panels at the Agri-Nature Center, is that in our design, or is that just something we're wishing for, or?
Mayor, Trustee Lewis, that is part of the CV design. It is sort of an extra that we haven't really put a number on. It is part of the desire of the Treasury in the Federal Register instructions to put funds towards infrastructure projects. And one of the priorities is alternative energy. This is something that we've been approached about providing this kind of a service on that facility, and we think there will be a cost savings down the road. But we have not budgeted for this, and it's here as an opportunity to take it out of Rescue Act funds.
Okay. And then my last question is the infrastructure, the improvements to water, sewer, and broadband. So improvement to our broadband in the village. What are we talking about there when we talk about $100,000 for broadband improvement?
Mayor, Trustee Lewis, trustees, again, a big priority of this funding is for infrastructure, and especially and particularly broadband. We will be moving forward in the next 3 years on a redesign of the second phase of 4th Street. When we are putting lines in the ground, we hope to be able to put down conduit so that the providers can put fiber in the ground and increase broadband. And we know that the best way to shore up our economic development opportunities are to have a really strong and robust fiber backbone. So we wanted to put funding here for a broadband project. Even though we don't have a broadband project identified, it's an area that we would like to focus on in the next 3 years.
And so some of these we have them in our we sort of have them in our capital outlay projects that we're hoping to use some of this funding for some of the things that we're asking for in our capital outlay.
Yes, you can call this an offset. I think that would be the right terminology to use. If you can use $100,000 of rescue money to put in some of this conduit, you know, as a part of the foundation for the road project, then that frees up $100,000 for other pieces of the project.
Okay. I don't have any more questions at this time.
Okay, Trustee Pacheco.
Mayor, thank you. All my questions have been answered. Thanks.
Trustee Riccobeni.
Same, Mayor, all my questions have been answered.
Okay, I'm going to call for the question, call for the roll call vote. Trustee Rael.
Mayor, Mr. Mayor, what are we voting on exactly?
You're voting
approve
to
this whole
approve
list?
the resolution. Are you on mute?
Excuse me. Yeah, so approve the resolution to approve this whole list.
Yes, that's correct. So Trustee Rael, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Lewis,
No.
Trustee Pacheco,
Yes.
Trustee Riccobeni.
Yes.
Motion passes. Resolution is approved. Okay, at this time, we're going to move to trustee informal discussion. Roundtable discussion is informal. The Board of Trustees will take no official vote or other official action. Trustee Rael.
I don't have anything there.
Trustee Lewis.
I have nothing. Thank you, Mayor.
Trustee Pacheco.
I have nothing as well. Thank you.
Trustee Riccobeni.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Thank you all. And does anybody have anything else to add? I thought I heard somebody. If not, it is 8:18 p.m. The meeting is adjourned. I do need a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 We're adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for your hard work. I appreciate it.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you.